Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about what you should expect when you take blacksmithing courses from an instructor of any sort or any kind. Really what you should expect if you're taking a class with just about anyone on any sort of subject. So I learned a long time ago from my original tutor that I had in blacksmithing, my first formal instruction that I ever received in forging was by a guy by the name of Wayne Apgar. Great guy. I suggest you check his work. I'll put a link to his website in the description down below. If you go over there and you check him out or you stop in, drop him a line and say, hey, Roy sent you. And just let him know that I still care about him and I'm very thankful for his instruction. But I asked him in this class, well, first let me back up. I was quite arrogant before I started the class, and him and another man by the name of Dennis Gilkey had told, basically they busted my chops. I kind of came in with kind of a big ego. I had sold a few pieces of ironwork on eBay at that time, and I thought I was pretty hot stuff until they kind of started to pick apart my work and saying, where's this transition? Who taught you how to slit and drift? Things like that, like, there's no transition of line and all these other things that I had never known about because I had been smithing for 4 years prior to getting proper instruction from really anyone, any sort of hands-on instruction. I had watched some demonstrations and I always had that mentality of like, yeah, I could do that. Basically kidding myself and being very, very arrogant. Well, they ended up popping my bubble on that one. And boy, howdy, am I thankful they did. So later on in this class over at Touchstone Center for Crafts, when I was taking this class with Wayne Apgar, I asked him, I said, Wayne, what can I do to take and learn as much during this time? Because I was there on scholarship and I didn't know, I was pretty broke at that time and I didn't really know if I was ever going to be able to get another class in or anything like that. So I wanted to absorb as much information as possible. And what he told me stuck with me and still sticks with me to this day and is perhaps one of the wisest things I have ever had the opportunity to hear him tell me personally. And that was this simple fact. Learn the process, not the project. So when you're going and taking a class with somebody, no matter where it's at, you want to take and make sure that you take that class with the mentality that I am learning a process that I can then go and use in my own shop. Because again, he expounded upon what he meant about learning the process versus the project. As he said that most people will come to a class, they will learn how to make a thing, an item. Say if I were to teach you how to make a hammer. You make a hammer, you know how to make a hammer, that's it. But what about all the steps that went into making the hammer? The drawing out of the peen, the punching or the slitting and drifting of the eye, the hardening and tempering step, the handling, hafting it with a handle, right? Wood choice for the handles, things like that. That is where your value is in a class, not coming away with an item. With that being said, a lot of classes cost quite a bit of money to go take. And when you're sitting there, like I was, and you're trying to think and find scholarships, and you're trying to find a way of getting your education in blacksmithing and learning under somebody or going to college for it, if you're over in the UK, which I think is an amazing thing. I think that's an awesome thing. They got like a bachelor's or master's of like fine arts and kind of like metal art type degrees here in America now, but it's not really centered around forging or forge work. That is just kind of like an add-on. You can just add that as part of it and use that in your particular degree from what I understand of it. Now that may be completely wrong and you can correct me in the comment section down below and even provide a link if you would to a place that offers courses in America for college level credit, if you will. But again, learning these processes, taking and doing this sort of thing is very expensive. It's very expensive because it's cost an instructor It costs an instructor a lot of time to come alongside you and teach you and try to bring you up to the level where he's at or somewhere close to it. You're paying for the decades of his knowledge is what you're paying for. You're not paying for an item to leave and go home with the item. Of course, everybody wants to go home with a completed project. Everybody wants to go home with a completed project, especially if you spent $500, $600 on a class or $1,000 on a class. You want to go home with something, right? To say, hey, I made it, I did something, I really progressed here. But I challenge that little bit of thought and process. If you ever take a class with me, you will be leaving with your head hurting full of knowledge. Now, I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying that that's how much value I try to bring to my classes and my workshops and to my videos. I hope that's apparent with over 1,100 videos here on YouTube. That's 1,100 videos of content here on YouTube that I have tried to instill some sort of value. I look back, there's a lot of videos that, man, I was way too serious. It looked like I was constipated on camera, man. It was horrible. That's just me being candid with you. It was absolutely horrible. My attitude, my camera presence was all off. The information was good, but I kind of rammed it down your throat instead of like, hey, here's a glass of water for that pill that you need to swallow. That's just me having a laugh at myself. You can have a laugh at me too in the comment section if you know what videos I'm talking about and you've seen those videos. And I think I'm getting better at it now. But I try to always impart extra value. If you've been a part of any live streams, if you have a question, I will answer it in the utmost exacting detail, probably more information than what you wanted to know. You just wanted a yes or no answer from me, and I didn't do that. I give it a big, long-winded response. As you can tell, you've watched this video, if you've made it this far, 7 minutes, I'm sitting on a stool. I have no problem with a gift to gab. I can gift to gab to you all day long. But I do need to get back to forging, and it's awful cold in here with that blower shut off and that fire will calm down. The point. Let me get to the point. When I take classes, I try to learn the process and not the project. The project will never take you anywhere other than knowing how to repeat those individual steps on that same project. You know how long the material was, you know how much to punch, you know what punches you were using for that project, you know how to assemble that project that was thought about and created by someone else, and then that's all you'll ever be able to do is follow other people who are doing these creating things and creating new products and creating all sorts of interesting ways of doing things and overcoming difficulties in the forge, versus you being in that creation mode, versus you taking and doing those things and you being able to teach a class at some point. So please, when you go to take a class, look at it with the proper perspective, that the process that you are learning at that class will last with you and stick with you for a lifetime. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to give you one last final tip. When you go to a class, try not to ask questions about the project that's being demonstrated. Try to look at how the smith is doing a specific thing, and then ask that smith why he is doing that particular thing. If they're a good instructor, they will be able to tell you in an instant why it is that they're doing what they're doing. If they're a bad instructor or they don't really know themselves and they're not all up to snuff, they will not be able to tell you why it is that this is happening, why the material is moving such, why they chose the sequence of steps that they did. So that's it for today. I hope that helped you. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comment section down below. I'm sure you probably already have. And as always, God bless you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.